Okay folks, before we actually move on to solving equations, we're just going to have a quick review of what we learned last time. So we talked about the parts of the equation and how there are three of them. Okay, so we have the variable, the constant, and the coefficient. The variable we figured out is the symbol for a number that we don't know yet. So x is representing a number, but we don't know what that number is yet. We will. Then we have the constant, which is any number on its own in the equation. So the only numbers in this equation that are alone are 6 and 9. They're called a constant because they constantly remain the same. They never change. And our third term, the coefficient. It's a number used to multiply or divide a variable. So we know here our variable is x, right? So our coefficient is 3 because we know that there are 3 x's. 3 groups of x. Okay? Now we're going to talk about solving equations. There is already writing on here because I actually messed up in the first video, so I'm starting all over. Okay? So our first equation is 6x equals 42. The equal sign means that whatever's on the left side is exactly the same value as what's on the right side. So 6x is the same as 42. So we need to find out what the value of x is going to be. If we know that 6 of them are 42, we want to find out what the value of 1 is. So this means 6 times x, but we're going to take that 6 and move it over to the other side of the equal sign. And when we do that, we have to reverse the sign. So the opposite of multiplication, as we know, is division, just like the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I've already moved our 6 to the other side of the equal sign. But instead of it being represented by multiplication, it's now being represented by division. So we need to figure out now how many groups of 6 are there in 42. And you can find this out by skip counting. You can find it out by using a number line, or if you know your multiplication facts or division facts, then you've got it. Okay? So if we figure out how many groups of 6 are in 42, we could skip count. Let's do that together. So we're going to start at 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and 42. We got right to our number with how many groups of 6? Yes, you're right at the back, 7. Good. So 42 divided by 6, we now know is 7. So x equals 7. Questions? Excellent. If you have a question, email me, post it in Classroom, pause the video, rewind it, start it over, and watch it again, okay? Now let's try the second one. I'm actually going to get a different color marker. So 3a plus 3 equals 12. So we're going to actually move our constant numbers so they're together. So 3a is going to stay on the left side of the equal sign. Our 12 is going to stay the same. But our 3 is going to come over to the other side. So just like when we switched the multiplication up here to division when we moved it, we're going to do the same with this 3. But since it's adding, we're going to switch it to the opposite of adding, which is subtracting. So 3a equals 12 minus 3. Move on to the next step. Well, what is the difference between 12 and 3? I heard it somewhere. 9. You got it. 3a equals 9. But now we need to separate this 3 from the a. So a is going to be on its own. And again, we're going to flip the value of 3, we're going to flip the multiplication of 3 to division, since we're moving it to the other side of the equal sign. So a now equals 9 divided by 3. And how many groups of 3 are there in 9? Thank you. 3. A equals 3. If you substitute 3 into a here, you can check your work by seeing if the numbers on the left side of the equal sign are the same to the value on the right. So 3 times a, which is 3, is what? 3 times 3 is 9. If we add 3 more to 9, do we get this? Yes. So we know that we have answered this question correctly. Brilliant. Let's move on to the third one. 4y equals 24. Now the letter doesn't matter. This could be 4u, 4q, 4t, 4l, whatever you like. It doesn't matter. We just don't know the value of it right now. So this is very close to our first one. Okay? So we have 4y equals 24. We want to put y on its own because we need the value of 1y. So y equals, now remember, this means multiplication for y, but now we want to divide because it's going to the other side of the equal sign. Okay? 24 divided by 4. And what's 24 divided by 4? How many groups of 4 are there in 24? What times 4 equals 24? 6. Y equals 6. This is how we solve an equation. Now, one thing I missed that I'd like to share with you is if you ever have constants, you can put them together. You want to put your like numbers together. So if you have 2 constants, you can add or subtract them together, whichever you need to do to shorten your equation. Just like if you had, say, 3a plus 2a, you could change that to 5a. So you're going to group all your like terms together. Okay? Now, just like our last instructional video, there will be some activity for you to work on solving equations. And then when you're done, if you want to keep practicing, you can easily make up your own equations or go online and find some worksheets that you could work on. Okay? We'll see you next time.